Sir, vanakkam sir. Ram Ganesh sir, vanakkam sir.
வணக்கம் வணக்கம்
Professor வணக்கம். Professor Ram Ganesh and Panjanathan talking. வணக்கம்.
Sir வணக்கம். Ram Ganesh வணக்கம்.
வணக்கம் வணக்கம். Professor வணக்கம்.
Madam.
Sir. Yes sir. Okay sir. Sir, VC sir. VC sir, shall we start the program sir?
Madam.
Sir.
Yes madam. Hello.
Yes sir. Yes sir. Now it's okay. A very good evening to all. I am excited and feel blessed about this 5-day International Virtual Faculty Development Program on behalf of Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Curriculum Planning and Evaluation in collaboration with Department of Educational Technology, Bharathidasan University, organizes on outcome-based curriculum. We will open the book. Its pages are blank. We are going to put words on them ourselves. The book is called Opportunity and its first chapter is our inaugural function. Prayer is not asking prayer, is putting oneself in the hands of the God. I am requesting the participants to stand for the prayer. Tamil Thai வாழ்த்து. வணக்கம். To welcome is to show honor. To welcome is to establish integrity. First, I would like to call upon Professor V. Balakrishnan sir, a registrar in charge of Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, Professor and Head, Department of Curriculum Planning and Evaluation, and a program convener to deliver the welcome address. Please, sir. Sir? Sir, excuse me, sir.
Audible,
Yes, sir.
A pleasant evening to all of you. A delightful evening to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir. Professor M. Govindan, Dean of Faculty. Dr. G. Gopinath, Registrar, Bharathidasan University. Professor I. Muttusamy, Professor and Head, Department of Educational Technology, Bharathidasan University, Tiruchirappalli. Dr. A. Rajeswari, Dr. S. Amuda, organizing secretaries of this program, and my dear participants, a delightful evening to all of you once again. Amma, unmute பண்ண சொல்லுமா.
Sir.
சவுண்டா இருக்கு.
Sir.
Okay.
Okay.
I deem it a great honor to deliver welcome address on the remarkable occasion of inaugural function of 5-day international virtual faculty development program on outcome-based curriculum. We have a fine and vibrant academic atmosphere here with the gracious presence of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor N. Panjanathan sir. I deem it a great honor in extending a warm welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, who is exemplary a good qualities of a good leader, such as integrity, ability to delegate, communication, self-awareness, gratitude, influence, empathy, courage, respect, humility, accountability, resilience, vision, influence, positivity, and delegation. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor is role model for all these good qualities of effective leader. I welcome you, sir. I feel immensely happy to offer my profound, hearty, fascinating welcome to Dr. Ram Ganesh, who is going to deliver a special lecture on this special occasion. He is an outstanding academic person with revered academic personality, transforming the educational theory and practice in a grand and innovative way for the last 3 decades in the field of teacher education. I welcome you, sir. I feel extremely happy to offer imposing and appealing welcome to the one of the conveners of this program, I Muttusamy, Professor and Head, Department of Educational Technology, Bharathidasan University. I welcome you, sir. I feel extremely happy to grant imposing and appealing welcome to the organizing secretaries of this program, Dr. A. Rajeswari, Assistant Professor, Department of Curriculum Planning and Evaluation, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, and also Dr. S. Amuda, Assistant Professor, Bharathidasan University, Tiruchirappalli. I welcome both of you, madam. Once again, I welcome all of you. I wish you best. I wish you best of luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your pleasant welcome address, sir. We know that success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is key to success. If you love that, what you are doing, you will be successful. Dear participants, please mute your microphone. Yes. Similarly, the great successful person, Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University's Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. N. Panjanathan, has an experience of 30 years in teaching, academic research and extension activities. He also has 2 years full-time and 8 years part-time in industrial experiences. He has made 55 international visits covering 36 countries for academic, teaching, research and training activities. He has visited 500 educational institutions in India and abroad for academic purpose. He is the recipient of the first doctoral degree in the Department of Business Administration in Annamalai University. He has a series of publications in national and international journals. He has authored and edited many books. His research guidance included 40 PhD scholars for their doctoral degree, 23 MPhil and scholars, and 200 MBA candidates. He has adjudicated doctoral theses both from Indian universities and foreign universities. He has mobilized research training and consultancy grant to the tune of 325 lakhs. He was a team member in mobilizing 20 crores through RUSA. He has received 41 prestigious national and international awards and fellowships. Sir's profile is so long.
Thank you,
Sign
madam.
of good leader. A sign of good leader is not how many followers you have, but how many leaders you create. Like that, our Vice Chancellor, who has made so many academic leaders, giving encouragement to others, is a most welcome gift. For the results of it are lifted spirits, increased self-worth, and a hopeful future. Now, I wholeheartedly welcome our Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor N. Panjanadam, to deliver presidential address. Please, sir.
Thank you, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Good evening to all. At the outset, Professor V. Balakrishnan, I recognize the presence of Professor V. Balakrishnan, respected Registrar of the University, dedicated officer, always encouraging colleagues and students for their welfare. Similarly, respected officers and authorities of Bharathidasan University, Professor Muthuswamy sir, head of the Department of Education Technology from Bharathidasan University, and a hard-working individual, and is continuously has been contributing for the development of the department. Professor Ram Ganesh, everybody knows about his contribution. Any academic activity, is one of the first persons to come forward and dedicate himself for the welfare of students, scholars, and teaching fraternity. We all have very good respect to Professor Muthuswamy and Professor Ram Ganesh. Similarly, other respected resource persons like Professor Pragadisuran, Professor Vegatraman, Dr. Sunita from Bombay, Dr. Srinivasan, and many more great resource persons are going to address on this wonderful title, Outcome-Based Curriculum. Outcome-based curriculum. This 5-day program is being organized by both Bharathidasan University, one of the great universities in the country, and Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University. But we are only years old child, but still Bharathidasan University and its Vice Chancellor, all authorities always take us along with them. Similarly, I recognize the presence of Dr. Rajeshwari Madam and Dr. Amuda Madam, who are taking leadership in organizing this program. Organizing a program is a tough task, we all know, particularly during this pandemic period. Internet connectivity, electricity from different places. So much efforts they are taking, and I congratulate and appreciate all the organizers, and very particularly Dr. Rajeshwari, Dr. Amuda Madam. Both are very dedicated teachers, and they spend their valuable time for students, teachers, and other fraternity of academic environment. So we appreciate them. Then not only other resource persons, but also most respected participants. There are hundreds of participants. They are all very respected teachers, scholars, and sometimes even students. All of them from all over India, some of them from abroad. And I appreciate all of us, all the senior teachers available in this platform. We appreciate all of you for your uh, dedication, because people used to say that stop learning, stop teaching. So when we stop our learning, we are not eligible to teach. So great people, I have seen very senior people are attending. They are real source of inspiration for the organizers and all of us, because they send the signal that we want to learn from Professor Ram Ganesh. We want to learn from other persons, resource persons. So they want to continuously learn, because in Tamil we have a proverb, கற்றது கையளவு கல்லாதது உலகளவு. Only in a small handful only we have. Even that is told by great people. Great people have had learned only little. That means we all need to learn more. So such respected participants who have come, and once again with the folded hands, I join our respected register to welcome all of you. I would have missed some of the names, and it is not intentional. It is only due to want of time, and maybe equally I'm interested to listen to others. So you may excuse me. With this note, again, once again, I congratulate all of you. About this Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University, as I told at the outset, it is only just 10 years old child. Even the new building we have occupied only 3.5 years old. I take this opportunity to welcome all of you after this corona is over to visit our university, guide us, and also give us more encouragement and inspirations, so that we all will grow together. The country needs quality education, particularly teacher education. So the future is going to be not competitive world, it is going to be a collaborative world. Also, I take this opportunity to request all the respected participants, other dignitaries, to collaborate with Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University and Bharathidasan University for many more such programs, not only online programs, but also after the COVID is over, many of our offline programs, activities also, we all can collaborate with folded hands. I request all the participants and talk to your universities, college authorities, and come forward to collaborate with Bharathidasan University, one of the great universities in the country, and Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University. We all will work towards providing quality education, and very particularly quality teacher education. So I'm very happy to say, because Professor Ramesh may appreciate, Professor Muthuswamy may appreciate and bless our teachers, so that they will be motivated to do more number of programs. During this pandemic period, 120 days, they have participated in 1,000 programs, 1,000 programs. And out of these 1,000 programs, more than 500 programs, they themselves have organized. One programs benefiting more than 200,000 students, faculty, and research scholars in India and 12 more countries. Many programs are collaborative programs, not only with other institutions in India like Bharathidasan University today it is happening, and with other institutions in abroad, foreign 12 countries, and more than 200,000, 2 lakh beneficiaries are there in these 500 programs. Apart from that, our teachers in another 500 programs, as simple learner audience, they have participated. So these 32 teachers, the total strength of the 32 teachers, which includes our respected registrar, controller of our examination, Professor Govindan, all of them are included. Few officers, these 32 to 40 people together, we have made 1,000 programs in more than 120 days. I hope Professor, most respected Professor Muthuswamy sir, most respected Professor Ram Ganesh and all will bless them, will guide them, will encourage them, will give some inspiration, so that they continue to contribute. So with this note, this curriculum, outcome-based curriculum, we all very well know the experts are going to talk more. I am not an expert on that, but still, if there is no outcome and there is no need for any curriculum ultimately should give a training. I'm in a lighter sense, I'm telling. I could visit one of the institutions where some placement interview was going on. It's a simple, lighter way, I'm telling. And a company was doing interview, and placement officer was sitting. He told that I have given excellent training to all my students. So please take all of them because of loyalty and commitment. He has been telling that. When the interviewers they were interviewing, and for one of the students, the interviewer told that yes, you introduce yourself. He told my name is this, my father name is this, that, and all. Then the interviewer company man told, go ahead. This boy stood up and he went out. Go ahead means he has gone out of the room. So the way he has understood communication, you see that. So the outcome of the placement training or its curriculum, though he has done a lot of good training, when one or two students behave like that, and they doubt the curriculum, pedagogy, the way he trained. Similarly, not only for this, for all other subjects, it may be swimming, or it may be biology, or it may be agriculture, or any subject, even for our teacher education, so all of us, we go for selection committee. They have got a lot of credentials. I have Scopus paper, this, that. I have read so many PhDs and all. And when they come, the question of asking them to teach, sometimes some teachers, particularly young new teachers, for 30 minutes, they are not able to stand and in front of the panel. They are not able to communicate what they wanted to communicate. But teaching profession is communication. Communication is the first and foremost quality that the curriculum should be designed in a way and the pedagogy should be designed in a way that the individual is able to communicate, because teaching is communication. Whatever he knows, whatever he has prepared, it should be transferred to the minds of children or students, and in such way he must communicate. There are 158 methods of pedagogy. Our education experts, they say, not only this lecture method, group discussion is a method, going to a tour is a method, taking students to the field is a method, giving assignment is a method, making them to do some extempo is a method, or conducting quiz is a method, making a drama is a method. There are 150 methods through the student-centric activities. Only then the well-designed curriculum can be transferred so that the outcome will be there. The outcome is you must be able to communicate well. You must be able to make children to understand the concept. I remember 35 years ago, a B.Ed. M.Ed student when I was, I could go to a village, no internet, no facility, a simple teacher, a lady teacher is there, and a 5 years old, small girl, 6 years old, she's asking teacher, what is cuddle? What is sea? What is ocean? How it will be? The child does not see. I see that young teacher does not have any facility over there like this today, internet, mobile phone, TV, nothing was available. I could see what the teacher is doing there, and see that she's only diploma trained teacher. Immediately she took the afternoon, after taking the midday meal, there was a big vessel, white color vessel. So she filled water in that, full of water, big vessel, and she called the child, see how much water you are seeing. Oh, for that child, so much of water. So much of water is there. The bank is seen. ஓரமெல்லாம் தெரியுதா, நிறைய தண்ணி தெரியுதா? ஆமா. அது அப்படியே எக்ஸ்பேண்ட் பண்ணி நினைச்சு பாரு. Just to expand it, more water will be there. But you cannot see the bank. கரையை பார்க்க முடியாது. தண்ணி மட்டுமே தெரியும். That is sea. That is கடல். That is ocean. See, with the available tool, how 35 years ago, the teacher was able to make the child to perceive what may be a sea or kadal or ocean. Today in the internet field, they may just touch a button, they will show the sea or ocean. One more button they may touch, even the water will come. That much technology has come today. But in those 35 years ago, so the pedagogy plays very important role. Last month also I could see a teacher, school teacher, those who are getting more than 95% mark. He has been teaching about the aeroplane for many years. And children want to see what is aeroplane. And he is only theoretically teaching. And from his personal money in Tamil Nadu, in one of the schools, it was shown in TV, one teacher, once per year, those who are getting more than 95 marks out of 100, 22 children, he is taking Chennai to Mumbai or Chennai to Madurai. One way he takes in his own money children through aeroplane to another place. Chennai to Madurai means, so they see what is aircraft, how the pilot is there, how airplane will be there, how we must sit in the airplane, how airplane will move, how airplane will take off, how airplane will fly, how airplane will land. All those things he has been teaching theoretically, but once per week he is taking personally. See the dedication from personal money for 20 people. He purchase a ticket when very low cost season comes, and he take the children to see the dedication of the teacher, see the curriculum outcome. This outcome. The child will be able to talk even 1 hour about airplane because the child itself he has experience in it. So in that way, the pedagogy curriculum also is very important. Curriculum designing is very important. The outcome, all outcome, what we want out of the child or student after completion of that program, teaching is over. Everything should be inbuilt, and methodology and other things also should cooperate for that. So in that way, I remember when I was a student of Minnesota University in the United States for a for a short-term course long back, my teacher, 70 years old, Sunny Hansen, who is educational counseling psychologist. Whenever we ask for some topic, she will ask, Dr. Punch, no, you go to the field, talk to children, talk to students, talk to parents, and what they need. You identify, see the outcome, what they want is outcome. Then you come with that. I will tell you how to review, how to collect information, how to do the research. The outcome, research outcome will be useful to them because you are coming from there, what they want. So the outcome is required. So first you go there, from there you design your curriculum, then use appropriate research methodology, so the obtained result will be very much useful to them. So in that way, much can be spoken on that, but all of you are eagerly waiting to listen to a great Professor Ram Ganesh of Bharathidasan University, and a well-educated person, highly learned person, with excellent teaching pedagogy. He has been doing human service to the students of Bharathidasan University and others, that he has come all the way to talk to all the eagerly waiting participants. And once again, I take this opportunity to congratulate all organizers. Some names I would have missed, please excuse me. All those who are directly or indirectly responsible for organizing this great program under the leadership of Professor Balakrishnan and Professor Muthuswamy and all those, I congratulate them. Rajeshwari Madam, Amuda Madam, I congratulate you and all the participants. Please do keep in touch. Please keep in touch with the Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University and the Bharathidasan University. Once again, I wish you all the best wishes for the program. Please attend all the 5 days and be benefited. Talk proud of Bharathidasan University. Talk proud of Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University. Appreciate the organizers so that let them organize many more programs. God bless all. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable presidential address, sir. Next, I would like to call upon Dr. S. Amuda ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of Educational Technology, Bharathidasan University, and one of the program secretary to introducing our eminent resource person. Please, ma'am. Ma'am, unmute yourself. Amuda ma'am. Amuda ma'am.
Voice ready aicha.
Amuda ma'am, unmute your microphone. Yes, ma'am. Amuda ma'am, unmute your microphone. Yes. Ma'am. Amuta ma'am.
phone பண்ணுங்க.
சார் லைன்ல இருக்காங்க சார். அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டாங்க.
ராஜேஸ்வரி மேடம்.
எஸ் சார்.
அந்த மேடம் அட்மிட் பண்றாங்க, ஆனா திருப்பி மீட் ஆயிடுதியா பாருங்க.
இல்லைங்க சார், நான் ஒண்ணுமே பண்ணலைங்க சார்.
இல்லம்மா, அவங்க அட்மிட் பண்றாங்க, ஆனா திருப்பி மீட் ஆயிடுது. என்னன்னு பார்க்க சொல்லுங்க.
தம்பி, எதுக்கு இந்த பேண்ட போட்டு இப்படி பிரட்டி வச்சிருக்க?
அவன் ஃப்ரீயா விடுறான். கையெடு.
அமுதா மேம்.
Shall we start, madam? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think she has got some problem.
Yes, sir.
No problem.
Okay, sir. Sorry, sir.
Most respect.
Yes, sir.
You can request Professor Ramkrishna to start.
Yeah.
You request him to start.
Sir.
Yeah, no problem. Shall I start?
You can
Yes,
request.
sir,
Otherwise, I will play the role of Madam Amuda. So, on behalf of more than 250 participants, on behalf of Bharathidasan University, on behalf of Tamil Nadu Teachers University, on behalf of organizing committee, we kindly request our most respected Professor Ram Ganesh sir to deliver his speech. We are all eagerly waiting to listen to you. We request you to excuse us for this small issue with connectivity with Amida madam. Please excuse us. Please proceed, sir. The session is yours. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you, Professor.
Thank you, sir.
Most revered Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Panjanadam, sir. Respected Registrar, Professor V. Balakrishnan. My colleague, Professor I. Muthuswamy. Organizing secretaries, Dr. Amuda and Dr. Rajeshwari.
Yes.
Learned participants, friends. Very good evening to all of you. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be part of this program, especially which is jointly organized by Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University and Bharathidasan University. I think it is a pioneering effort, maiden effort, which has been taken, as the Vice Chancellor rightly pointed out, that even the topic of the significance, outcome-based curriculum. I think it gives me great impetus to remember the greatness of this country, subcontinent, India, especially ancient India. So ancient India is known for higher education and curriculum. That is the reason I would like to recall the very significance and greatness of this country, which is the role model for a number of countries across the globe. Because this country teaches values and cultures to number of countries in the West and other countries in the globe. Just ancient India. You know, the philosophy of the curriculum, especially at all levels in ancient India, are three important terms: the pursuit of, jnana, pragya, satya. Jnana, pragya, satya. That is knowledge, wisdom, and truth. So the philosophy, the pursuit of jnana, I mean knowledge, wisdom, and truth, is the philosophy of the ancient Indian curriculum. That is the reason, as a citizen of India, I appreciate the higher education system in India, which delivers goods for the past couple of centuries and even thousands and thousands of years. Because India is a country which introduced number of universities with a lot of scholarship to the world, especially Taxila, Nalanda, Vikramshila, Vallabi. So these universities, produced great scholars like Aryabhatta, Bhaskaracharya, Chanakya, Patanjali, Nagarjuna, Thiruvalluvar, Gautama. Likewise, these universities produced great scholars whom cannot be competed by anyone across the world. That is the reason Tirukural we say, Ulaga Podumurai. So you can't find such writings in any literature as far as my knowledge is concerned. So in that way, the ancient India introduced great institutions to the world. And if you go through the history of these institutions, you find people across the globe come down to India for the pursuance of Jnana, Pragya, and Satya. So therefore, we are the forerunners of establishing quality curriculum to the global institutions, I would say, if I am not exaggerating. In the ancient system, you see, educational system, which is which has to be worshipped for the legacy it has left to us. The indelible mark on the development of trajectories of knowledge towards the national building, especially. As our Vice Chancellor rightly pointed out, I think we have been weaning for a quite long time to establish curriculum which could bridge the gap between the knowledge what we have and knowledge what is required is more important. Whether the knowledge in terms of the curriculum, what we provide, would be able to help our wards or stakeholders to win the confidence of the system, which is very important. Therefore, it is a high time for all of us to take initiatives to work towards outcome-based curriculum. So the outcome-based curriculum, perhaps you would be able to explore or mull over to bridge the gap between what you provide and what the system requires. That is the reason why many times, our students or our own alumni, they express their feelings that they are not able to rise up to the expectations of the industry and institutions. So it is very important imperative that we have to hang over or embrace the philosophy that reform curriculum for transforming individuals. Reforming curriculum for transforming individuals is very important. That is why new education policy 2020 has given a lot of inputs and insights so that it will help us, especially help teachers like us to bridge the gap between the knowledge and the requirement. Is very important, knowledge and requirement. So many times, we are finding it difficult. So we have got a beautiful intelligence here, but still we struggle to translate our knowledge into requirement. That's a problem actually. So it is very important for all of us to explore the outcome-based curriculum so that it will really ensure the knowledge, wisdom, and truth for our younger ones, so that our younger ones will be able to address the national agenda and national issues. So what I am trying to say, we have to create a think tank in curriculum. Think tank in curriculum so that we would be able to attain Atmanirbhar India, that is self-reliant India. Our Prime Minister Ji pronounces quite often that India is the repository of knowledge of the world. And India is the teacher of the world, he says. The repository of the world and teacher of the world. Therefore, this is our intention that we have to establish Atmanirbhar, that is self-reliant India. We have got every resources because India is a country which is endowed with human and physical resources. Can you just spot out any country without the contribution of Indian, especially Indians? You can't just spot out any country across the globe which could really prevail without the contributions of Indians. Therefore, we have got tremendous physical resources and tremendous human resources. India is endowed with physical and human resources. But the only thing is, we need to enhance our commitment and accountability so that we would be able to develop a model curriculum to the world. We would be able to develop an outcome-based curriculum through which we would be able to address the national needs and global needs. That is the predominant objective of National Education Policy 2020. It is not only to cater to the needs of the subcontinent, but also to cater to the needs of the globe, if I am not exaggerating. So in that way, NEP 2020 is carefully designed. I think if it is implemented, definitely we will be the forerunners to develop outcome-based education, or a realized outcome-based education, which could really cater to the needs of this country and the globe. So for font of time, I would like to go to the PowerPoint, and then we will. So I will share my PowerPoint. Friends, if you go through the Center for Curriculum Design of Harvard University, United States, it is known for curriculum development, which has been doing a lot of research and which has published number of articles, research articles on different domains of curriculum. In that way, the center is a known center to the world, Center for Curriculum Design. And it says the 21st century education. Even our NEP, the focus of NEP 2020 is on promoting 21st century education. The 21st century education, I think, as our Vice Chancellor rightly pointed out, we have got to have a shift from pedagogy 1.0 to pedagogy 4.0. What is pedagogy 4.0? 4.0 in the sense, the pedagogy 4.0 has to provide insights in terms of techniques, strategies, and methods to address the industry 4.0 revolution. The industry 4.0 revolution, where we are going to use IoT, Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality. So all the industries, the machines are going to replace number of human resources. Perhaps human resources are very important because they are the programmers. The replace in the sense the industry, perhaps the manual work of the human resources will be replaced by machines in terms of IoT, Internet of Things. So in that way, your pedagogy 4.0 must address the needs of Industry 4.0 revolution. Therefore, Center for Curriculum Design is developing curriculum focusing on 21st century education. And it has felt certain components of 21st century education. How can we understand and realize the importance of 21st century education? Number one, the knowledge what we know. And we have to have a paradigm shift from traditional knowledge to modern knowledge. Traditional knowledge to modern knowledge. See, that does not mean that traditional knowledge has to be got rid of. We have to have traditional knowledge, but we have to have a shift from traditional knowledge to modern knowledge. Perhaps we need to have a robust knowledge of artificial intelligence, robust knowledge of augmented reality, and the other robotics and entrepreneurship is very important now. Perhaps the traditional knowledge also is very important. See, only through traditional knowledge we can build modern knowledge. Traditional knowledge like languages, mathematics, we would be able to build new knowledge. So the concept of knowledge in interdisciplinarity is more important right now. That kind of knowledge is very important, and that could be considered as one of the components of 21st century education, in the sense one of the key players to attain 21st century education. Next, they say the skills to be represented to apply the knowledge is very important. Perhaps you have got the knowledge, but how to represent the knowledge, that is missing actually. You have got enormous knowledge, but you see, I can just give you a best example, the China. The China is able to translate the knowledge in terms of requirement. They have got the knowledge and they are able to translate. And that is the reason wherever you go, you would be able to purchase only Chinese goods. Why? Because they got enormous resources, and we also have equally enormous resources. But the thing is, we have to have skills, or we have to upskill ourselves to represent these skills in terms of knowledge. What I mean to say, we have to acquire necessary skills or appropriate skills to represent the knowledge in terms of requirement. This is very, very important. Therefore, we have got to have a beautiful framework in such a way we would be able to translate or transform the skills into the knowledge of requirement. That's very important. So how to use what we know is more important. What we know, we know plenty of ideas, plenty of thoughts in our mind, but how to represent them in terms of requirement is a great problem right now. So that is to be achieved. Therefore, we have to understand how we use and what we know. How we use what we know, in the sense we have to have the skills, especially they are only indicative. See, I don't say these skills are exhaustive, they are only indicative, that you have got to have creativity, critical thinking, communication, collaboration. So these skills are very important. As our Vice Chancellor rightly pointed out, the teacher must be a good communicator. In that way, these skills, are very important to represent the knowledge what we have. Therefore, whenever we design outcome-based curriculum, I think the curriculum has to focus on at least these skills to represent the knowledge what we provide our stakeholders is very important. And the third one is character. So the character also represents 21st century education, because you have got to have adaptability. Sometimes you've got to have the mindfulness, and then teamwork. You've got to have your leadership, the ethics. Perhaps the resilience is very important. Now the teachers and leaders have to be resilient, in the sense, resilient in the sense how best you are able to come out of the difficult situations. So now you see, I would say the faculty development, gives some idea of resilience, because you see, even we are in the midst of pandemic, corona pandemic, but still we continue to organize such faculty development program and other workshops, so that we would be able to update our fellow fraternity, teaching fraternity. So in that way, the character is very important. How we engage in the world, in terms of mindfulness, in terms of curiosity, in terms of courage, in terms of resilience, in terms of agility, in terms of ethics and leadership. Despite of all the three major components, knowledge, skills, and character, what I call jnana, and then prakya, and then satya, the character. So we need to establish metacognition. That means how we reflect and learn, which is more important. Because many times, we have got to reflect, so that we would be able to identify or measure or calibrate the outcome of our learning, or calibrate the impact of our learning. That's very important. So we have got to keep on tracking our knowledge, keep on tracking our skills and character. so that we would be able to assess ourselves whether we would be able to reach the status of Atmanirbhar, self-reliant India. So in that way, you have to reflect on the learning outcomes, what the students are able to do, or whether the students are able to mind the gap between what they can do and what they are capable of doing is very important. So unless I reflect, I would not be able to look within me, so that I would not be able to understand the gap between what I can do and what I am capable of doing. So many times the metacognition, how you reflect, really matters. So despite of these three skills, you have got to establish this metacognition. How we reflect on our learning process is very important, so that you would be able to assess yourself in terms of the requirement. So if you are able to spare for about 75%, the remaining 25% you have got to learn out there in the world. So that idea you will be getting it only when you reflect on your learning process. So this is very important. So in that way, the Center for Curriculum Design says for attaining 21st century education, we need to establish skills. That is what we know, knowledge, what we know, and skills, how we use what we know, and character, how we engage in the world, along with how we reflect on our learning process is very important. Friends, start moving. Excuse me.
Sir,
I'm not able to move actually. The slides.
so next slide, down arrow or mouse next click, lighter mouse touch panna போதும்.
Yeah. I got it actually. Mouse I touched, but still it is not moving. Yeah, now it's coming. I do one thing.
Yes.
Yeah, now it's moving.
Okay.
Now you see, there are three types of knowledge which play a vital role. That is declarative knowledge, procedural knowledge, and critical knowledge. Friends, knowledge is very important. But what is declarative knowledge? What do you call cognition? Awareness of your own learning process. Declarative knowledge is awareness of your own learning process, in the sense awareness of your own knowledge with special reference to the context of learning. In the sense, am I audible?
See the PPT, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll be happy if you ask all the participants to mute their audio devices, because sometimes it irks me, it is irritating
Yes.
me to continue to
Yes, sir.
deliver my lecture.
Yes,
So
sir.
now you see, the declarative knowledge is very important, in the sense you have got to understand your cognition, in the sense awareness of your own knowledge with reference to the context of requirement. So now you see, I wanted to work on vaccine, finding out vaccine for coronavirus. So what is my knowledge? And what is the knowledge that I have got to have from out there in the world, which is very important. So declarative knowledge. And the second was knowing how, that is pragya, that is wisdom, procedural knowledge, what extent I would be able to apply the knowledge what I have. So if I want to apply the knowledge, sometime I need some tools, or sometime I need some instruments or resources, but for them I would not be able to apply the knowledge what I have. Therefore, I have to have the wisdom whether I can apply the knowledge what I have. So this is like, knowing how to use the knowledge what I have is very important. So that is the reason many times we have got very good intelligence, but still we are not able to operate them. The reason is we don't know how to use the knowledge what I have. So this procedural knowledge is very important. Next, we have to have transformation, knowing why, that is critical. Perhaps you got to analyze the knowledge what you have provided, and you got to evaluate the impact. Perhaps you got to assess the knowledge whether it is useful to the context of requirement or not. That is very important. If it is not useful, what is wrong with that? Perhaps you got to have another research to find out the appropriate knowledge which could really deliver goods to the system. So in that way, perhaps you need to establish, declarative, procedural, and critical knowledge so that you would be able to experience knowledge, wisdom, and transformation. Why this is very important? Because whatever the content we deliver across to our students have to have knowledge, wisdom, and critical awareness. These three are very important. See, if you go to premier institutes or top level institutes across the globe, whatever the idea they learn, they are very critical. They never be compromised, and you cannot compromise them, or they will never be compromised without understanding the knowledge along with skills and critical awareness. Because when you just tell them, they just put forth their ideas, they synthesize and they synergize the ideas with reference to the context of requirement, and they produce new idea that give rise to new idea. That is how they have been doing it. So in that way, you have to think of providing whatever the knowledge you deliver across to them. You have to think of providing knowledge and wisdom and critical awareness so that your students would be able to understand what they have to produce for the system. So when they think of producing ideas for the system or tools for the system or instrument for the system, now you can attain self-reliant India. In that way, the outcome-based curriculum is very important. Friends, I would like to give you an example. I would like to give you an example. You see the tomatoes. Now, knowing tomato is a fruit is your knowledge. Tomato is one of the fruits. So, knowing tomato is a fruit is knowledge. You see the wisdom, knowing tomato, that you don't put tomato in the fruit salad. It is a fruit, but it cannot be mixed with the fruit salad. You see the critical awareness, knowing why there is a difference, why we cannot put it in the fruit salad. So in that way, now you have to target knowledge, wisdom, and critical awareness. Whatever the knowledge you provide to them is very important. In that way, now the teacher's role is mammoth and paramount for providing cross-pollination of ideas with reference to the knowledge you provide to them is very important. So suppose when they learn tomato is a fruit, it is good but not adequate, because they would not be able to deliver goods to the system. So that they will cut a sorry face and they are not able to rise up to the expectations of the system. So therefore, you have to provide the cross-pollination of ideas about the knowledge that you give. Therefore, if you are only the dispenser of knowledge, sometimes it will not be helpful to the system. See, teacher is not only the dispenser of knowledge. That is why teacher is described to be a guru. In Sanskrit, guru means what? The teacher is a one who dispels darkness. So you must be able to dispel darkness. When can you dispel darkness? If you provide knowledge, skills, and critical awareness. Critical awareness in the sense, why as a fruit, why I should not put it in the fruit salad. So what makes the difference? So therefore, if you make them think, the curriculum must provide a platform for students to think is more important. No, it is not, reproducing. Therefore, there must be a shift from reproducing to producing is more important. Reproduction to production is more important. So if you want to make your students more productive, more vigilant, more intelligent, more clever, then you've got to make them, acquire knowledge and wisdom and then critical awareness. This is very important. Therefore, if you are mere dispenser of knowledge, sometimes you would not be able to rise up to their expectation. Therefore, you must be an orchestrator of learning and helping students turn information into knowledge and knowledge into wisdom and wisdom into critical awareness, which is very important right now. So now you should understand the graduate employability. You know, the graduate attributes are very important. The 21st century education, you must understand and take cognizance of graduate employability, where you need to develop cognitive skills, higher level intellectual or academic skills like interpreting, analyzing, researching. This is very important, cognitive skills. They must be able to interpret their knowledge, analyze the knowledge, research their knowledge. That's very important. Suppose, for example, if you transact a knowledge like NOPAT, net operating profit. Now, through net operating profit, you must be able to interpret the net operating profit. Perhaps you would be able to calibrate or assess or calculate, you know, the EVA, economic value addition. If you understand, if you analyze economic value addition, you would be able to understand the profit of the countries or in profit of industries or organization or institution. Suppose if they don't get the proper profit, then they have got to be researching. So in that way, the cognitive skills are very important. Friends, am I audible? Because it is
Sir,
echoing.
excuse me, sir. Echo.
Pardon?
Sir, your voice is echo.
Okay. Now I do. Is it echoing right now? Hello?
Sir,
Hello?
your voice
Yes.
is 2 times repeated, sir. Echo.
Is it echoing now? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it okay right now?
No, sir.
Still, I don't know. Therefore,
Sir,
still it is echoing. I don't know. Maybe. I'm sorry for the interference. Must give you clarity. Hello. Hello. Yeah.
yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Now, the key skills are very important. The personal skills, whether the students will be able to, you know, work in a team, whether they would be able to communicate, plan, organizing. So these sort of key skills, personal skills and quality, which are very important, range of both academic and employability settings, like, you know, teamwork, communication, planning and organization, which are also very important. And then career management skills, you know, the skills required to manage career development, especially self-analysis, networking, self-reliance and reflection. As I told you, the reflection is very important. Perhaps self-analysis, you have got to analyze with the reference to the task to be accomplished. Now the task is given unto you, whether the knowledge and skills what you have is enough. If it is not enough, how can I get it from out there in the world? Which is very important. That is career management skills. So that I have to equip myself, I have to update myself, I have to keep tracking, you know, the new skills. I have to keep upskilling myself so that I would be able to manage the skills what I have to accomplish the task is very important. Next, enterprising attitudes, the personal qualities to spot opportunities and have the skills to act on them. The attitude is more important. Okay, these are the things. Friends, now you see, I would like to spare, you know, very couple of seconds for making you understand the expectation of your own students from you. So what do your students expect from you, which is very important. Whereas for want of time, I would like to touch upon one or two ideas, okay, one or two expectations which are expected from their preceptors. Number one, you see, I don't feel connected to the professor. So I don't feel connected to the professor. I feel removed from human aspect of the class. I miss hearing professor's viewpoint. So what do you mean by I don't feel connected to the professor in the sense? Now, the professor of a management is expected to link the knowledge he or she provides with the different uh, area of specialization is very important. Whether you would be able to connect the subject or the knowledge with the different area of specialization, which is more important. So if you sometime you are the good teacher of management, you are appreciated, sometime you are not recognized. So you have to now connect your knowledge with the different area of specialization. This is one of the requirements of your student. And you see, I miss hearing the professor's viewpoint in the sense, now whatever the knowledge you deliver to them, what is your point of view? So offering your point of view is not a cakewalk. So unless you know you have the mastery over the knowledge you have, unless you have the research mastery on different components, mastery in terms of research, mastery in terms of extra miles, mastery in terms of academic mileage, sometime you would not be able to win the confidence of them. Therefore, your students want you to offer your point of view on the knowledge you deliver to them. This is very, very important. So these are all the expectations of the students. Friends, next you see, now if it is the case, now I would like to alarm you providing a statistics that which is expected of by National Skill Development Corporation. By 2025, another couple of years, another 5 years, India requires 250 million skilled forces. 250 million skilled forces cutting across different domains of education at different levels. So you got to nourish skill ecosystem. You got to establish skill ecosystem now. So you got to nourish the skill ecosystem. Now, which is the key player? The curriculum is the key player now. So the curriculum is the key player to nourish skill ecosystem, establish skill ecosystem, establish personal qualities, establish adaptability, establish competitiveness, establish leadership and teamwork. So in that way, you got to nourish skill ecosystem. The curriculum design is the key player. You must understand. So if you compromise the curriculum design and if you fail to redesign your curriculum, then what happens? You would not be able to, cater to the needs of NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation. So students, you have to create, skilled forces which could meet out the demands of this country. Demands of the globe is very important right now. So what would be the prospects of curriculum design? Because my focus is on prospect of outcome-based curriculum. Now let us understand the prospects of curriculum design. So your curriculum design should focus on what students can actually do after they are taught is very important. What they can actually do after they are taught. So in the sense, how best they can apply the knowledge in terms of requirement is more important. In terms of expectations of the system is more important. I learn a lot, but I offer you good knowledge, but you are not able to apply the knowledge what I have given, then it goes waste. It goes in vain. My knowledge goes in vain. So therefore, your redesigning process of curriculum should focus on what student can actually do after they are taught is very important. That way, that should be kept in your mind. And your redesigning process should expect all learners to successfully achieve particular level of knowledge and capabilities. The NEP 2020 is going to provide you a framework at all levels, framework at the school level, framework at undergraduate level, framework at postgraduate level, framework at even doctorate level. So the framework will be given where you would be able to calibrate the knowledge to be acquired, the skills to be developed, and critical awareness to be enhanced, or the character to be enhanced, and metacognition to be concentrated. This is very important. So in that way, based on the framework, whether you have to find out whether your learners successfully achieve particular levels of knowledge and abilities or capabilities. And your redesigning process should envisage the lifelong learning. What is lifelong learning? The flexible learning, in the sense, the learning that must be useful for leading my life is very important. Lifelong learning in the sense, leading my life. So leading my life in the sense, it must be meaningful and useful to lead a good life. So your redesigning process must envisage lifelong learning too. And friends, you see, in that way, now I would like to introduce some insights on curricular perspectives. As I told you, the NEP is concentrating on establishing the framework at all levels. Now you have to develop a curricular framework for the consistent and coherent development and design of transaction and their curricula across the higher education system. That is very, very important. But how are we going to do it? So how are we going to do it? Perhaps I would like to throw some insights on redesigning curriculum for performance standards. Now you see, you have to have a need analysis now. One need analysis I have given you, that NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation, requires 250 million skilled forces cutting across different domains of education. Likewise, you have got to have need analysis. Now the country is pronouncing Atmanirbhar India, self-reliant India. Therefore, what are the needs? So therefore, you have to make your young learners to turn out to be skilled forces or human resources who can address the national issues and national agenda. That is very important. So likewise, the need analysis is very important. So you do a need analysis so that you can have the instructional system development model. ISD model is the instructional system development model, where you can analyze their needs and design or redesign the curriculum, and then you can develop the strategies to transact the curriculum. Perhaps you have to have the implementation parts, then you evaluate in all the corner of analysis, design, development, and implement, you evaluate. Suppose while analyzing, if you find any noise or gap, perhaps you have to redo it. In the design part, you have got to redesign it. Development, you have got to redevelop, re-implement. In that way, the IST model helps you. And if you do it, now what happens? You would be able to absorb knowledge, what you require to make your country self-reliant, to make your curriculum more meaningful to the students, whether it is mathematics curriculum or science curriculum or liberal arts curriculum. So in that way, now what happens? You've got to absorb the knowledge and you can create a good learning environment which could address the performance standard of the students. So now you observe the knowledge and you can do away the skills which could represent the knowledge what you have, and you would be able to interact in depth and insight so that you will be able to reflect on your own knowledge, skills and character, so that whether you would be able to accomplish the task or not, whether the students are ready for particular professions, particular job or not. So in that way, you can improve the performance standards of the students in terms of redesigning your curriculum, which is the need of the hour, which is the, in fact, I would say, the trump card for the successful curriculum design. Friends, the process, as I have pointed out, absorbing, doing away, interacting, reflecting, and researching is very important. Perhaps you gather the data and then you process the data in terms of information. You process the information in terms of knowledge, and then you process the knowledge in terms of wisdom, so that now you would be able to experience whether you would be able to join all the holes or gaps what you have. Now you gather the parts, connect the parts, formation of the whole, and then joining of the holes, so that the curriculum that you prepare for the purpose to be solved will be served. So this is very important because, as our Vice Chancellor rightly pointed out, now we are able to experience a gap between the curriculum and employability, curriculum and empowerment of the individual. There is a huge gap now. The curriculum fails to empower the individual. Sometimes the curriculum does not help the individuals to rise up to the expectations of the industry and institution organization. Therefore, there is a huge gap. That is the reason the NEP is focusing on bridging the gap or minimizing the gap or getting rid of the gap between the curriculum and the expectations or the requirement. So this is very, very important for in the outcome-based curriculum, which I am going to talk to you. Again, it is. Again, the same problem. I'll do one thing. I stop sharing and then I come back so that I will be able to. Kindly bear with me. Kindly bear with me. I will
Yes,
share,
sir.
I will
Yes,
share
sir.
once again. Yeah.
Yes.
Now you see the key shift in redesigning process. You see, this is very, very important for all of us, all the teachers to understand the key shift in redesigning process. Number one is broad-based curriculum, where it provides wider choices to learners. That's very important because we have got individual difference. Many times our curriculum is not able to meet out the individual difference. Why? Because it is not able to provide wider choices to learners of their own interest. So they have got interest in liberal arts, but you provide mathematics. And that is the reason sometimes the learners are not able to showcase their potential. Why they are not able to showcase their potential? Because they get the curriculum which is not matching their potential. Therefore, the curriculum must provide wider choice for the learners, and then effective process of updating curriculum due to the obsolescence. Updating the curriculum, keep on updating the curriculum according to the changes in the society. Then you have to provide space for value addition by users. What extent the curriculum is useful for me to have my competence building? I think Professor Bharathidasan, a very experienced professor, who is known for his curriculum design and development, he is going to talk to you on this value addition curriculum. So you have got to design the curriculum technologically compatible. So otherwise, technology may not be leveraged. You have got to leverage the technology and you have got to visualize your curriculum to your learners. Therefore, you design the curriculum technologically compatible is very important. Integrate pedagogy with curriculum design. So these are all the ideas you must think. And I would like to throw an important idea. Whenever you develop outcome-based curriculum, now the curriculum framework is, I think once again it is echoing. I don't know why it is. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Is it echoing now? No. Okay. Now, there are three important pathways I would like to give away. Number one is vocational pathway, a broad ranging vocations. Now, when you develop curriculum, now you have to spell out whether the children are ready for at least 15 jobs or professions. So after completion of 3-year undergraduate courses or 2-year MEd courses or 2-year PG courses, now you have to spell out the curriculum framework. While developing curriculum framework, you have to spell out whether it would be able to provide vocational pathway. So the curriculum must provide vocational pathway. So after completion of the undergraduate course, I think I have to be ready for 15 professions or jobs. So it must provide a ready reckoner. It must be a ready reckoner in the sense, after completion, I think I will be able to, apply for 15 jobs. For example, I'm just telling you. So broad ranging of vocation, which is not provided in the curriculum. That is the reason sometimes curriculum puts the stakeholders in dark. Why? Because it does not spell out the number of vocations the students could join. So this is very important. Imagine after completion of undergraduate course, the student will be able to join, will be ready for 15 professions or 15 jobs. Now he or she has to, acquire professional proficiency sets. So for 15 jobs or 15 professions, if I want to apply, then I have to acquire proficiency sets, maybe 100 proficiency sets. So that is called professional pathway. Now the curriculum has to ensure, so these are all the proficiency sets by the time of completing, you would be able to acquire. So the curriculum has to provide clarity to the students. So after completion of BSc Physics, for example, after completion of BSc Physics, I would be able to, have a range of vocations. For example, 15 vocations or professions or jobs I can go. And now I have to have at least 60 proficiency sets, 60 proficiency sets to cater to the needs of 15 professions or jobs or proficiency sets are required. And then the general pathway, what you call the academic pathway, is very important. So that is a syllabus, okay, which is given unto you to transact the curriculum syllabus to the students. Therefore, your curriculum has to spell out these three pathways: vocational pathway, professional pathway, and general pathway. So if you provide some clarity, now the students are made to realize that they have got to demonstrate their knowledge. In such a way, they have to be assessed by the system. Whether they would be able to demonstrate their knowledge, whether they are able to show competence through means that will reflect the particular purpose and nature of the degree, which is more important. So I will give you an example. See whether they would be able to demonstrate the knowledge required in a field of the students. The field of students is physics, whether they would be able to demonstrate the knowledge. Physics in the sense they would be able to enter into 15 jobs, whether they would be able to demonstrate the knowledge into the requirements of 15 jobs is very important. Whether they would be able to represent the skills and techniques, which is very important. Whether they would be able to review, consolidate, analyze, and synthesize information. Whether they would be able to evaluate the principles, concept, theories, and practices with the special reference to the vocational and professional pathways. Excuse me. So in that way, they should be able to represent the ideas, arguments, findings, and works in the coherent form. Friends, they must be also be able to apply the knowledge, the understanding in familiar and unfamiliar context. That's very important. They must be ready to apply the knowledge in the familiar context as well as unfamiliar context. You see, for example, unfamiliar context, I can throw a lot of examples. One familiar example I would say, you see how we, have gobar gas from cow dung. Cow dung, using cow dung for firewoods, it is familiar knowledge. You are using cow dung for firewoods as firewoods. It is a familiar knowledge. Unfamiliar knowledge now you see using cow dung for gobar gas or biogas. Similarly, using human waste to electrical energy. Human waste are used as a fertilizer. That is familiar context. Unfamiliar context you see using your daily waste as the electricity. Human waste into electricity. There is a shift from human waste into electricity. So therefore, you have to train your students to apply the knowledge in the familiar context as well as unfamiliar context. That's very important. And through curriculum, whether they would be able to work independently is more important. You have to create independent learners, whether they can work independently without any support. This is also very important. And of course, they have to communicate the concept, argument, and information towards the solution of the problem. And you see, in fact, they must be able to transfer the knowledge acquired and skills, attributes to situations of employment and professional practice, what I explained. See, I would like to throw a couple of criteria of curriculum design. Number one, you see variety, utility, and then flexibility. So utility, variety, and flexibility. These are the three important criteria of curriculum design. Perhaps utility criterion, I would say, how can you identify the content? As we have already discussed that you have to have a need analysis, you do a need analysis, and then you identify the content which could be meaningful to them. So the content must be, you like chosen in such a way, must know content, and then should know content, and then nice to know content. What is called must know content? Sometimes whether the students like it or not, those contents are very important for their pursuance of higher education. Suppose if for undergraduate students in physics, they may not like quantum mechanics, but they have to learn quantum mechanics for the pursuit of higher education. When they go for MSc or PhD, the quantum mechanics is very important. In that way, for example, a biology, biodiversity. The students may not like biodiversity, but it is must know concept, because when they have to pursue higher education, then or MSc, they have to know, they have to understand what is biodiversity and what is should know content. The should know content through which they would be able to deliver goods to the industry and institution. That is job opportunities, proficiency sets. So these knowledge and skills are very important to establish or build proficiency sets through which you can cater to the demands of the industry or institution or organization. This is should know. What is nice to know knowledge, perhaps, that provides mindfulness to them. So that knowledge is very important because they can create a lot of funds out of knowledge. They can create funds, in that way, they can just nice to know now, through nice to know knowledge, they would be able to link the knowledge of physics into different area of specialization. Now they are able to link the knowledge in physics, in mathematics, chemistry, economics, why sometimes biology and other subjects. So nice to know knowledge is very important. So in that way, as a curriculum developer, you have to identify the content, select the content, cutting across must know knowledge to cater to the needs of the pursuance of higher education, should know content to address to the needs of the industries, and nice to know content to address the, have the funds or link the concept into different area. Specialization is very important. Once again, I'm sorry. Once again, I'm stop sharing and because. Now you see the criterion of variety. So when you develop the content, this is also very important for you to keep it in your mind back, that whether you can use variety of your experiences. This is very important, variety of experiences. And then flexibility. So whatever the important content, okay, you wanted to incorporate right now, you would be able to. I think somebody is sharing, that is a problem for me. You can just ask them, ask your participant not to share.
Dear participants, excuse me, don't share your screen, please.
So that disturbs me actually.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now you continue, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now you see, the outcome-based curriculum, I think there are some important key players or terms that we have got to understand. Number one, I think, I am approving everybody. That is a problem now. See, okay. Now learning outcomes, you see, what do you mean by learning outcomes? The learning outcomes are set for the students to understand and know what they are able to demonstrate after the completion of a process. This is very important. So, which is competency based. That is why we call credit choice based credit system. So, the credit is depending upon the learning outcomes of the students. After 3 years completion of the program, so what are all the learning outcomes they must possess? So, therefore, the statement of what a student is expected to know, understand, and are able to demonstrate after completion of a process of learning. If it is program outcomes, maybe after the entire program is over. If it is course outcome, the entire course is over. If it is lesson plan, then if the lesson plan is over, maybe what kind of knowledge he has to have, what kind of skills he has to acquire, what kind of character he has to develop. So in that way, the learning outcomes must be designed. The outcome-based curriculum, before you deliver a knowledge to the students, the learning outcomes must be carefully designed in terms of knowledge, skills, character, and metacognition, which are to be exhibited by the students. That's very important. And every time you have got to evaluate, you have got to assess whether they have acquired the knowledge. So you need to establish kind of assessment mechanism or rubrics so that whether they have really attained after 40 minutes class is over, after 1 hour class is over, what is the learning outcome? After the course is over, what is the learning outcome? After the program is over, what is the learning outcome? This is very important. So this is how you have got to develop learning outcomes, design learning outcomes in the outcome-based curriculum. Next important, the program educational, program educational outcomes. This is long-term outcomes where the students will be benefited, to in a long run, what kind of knowledge, skills, character, and metacognition they require so that they would be able to win the confidence of the system. That's very important. So that they would be able to contribute to the nation building, contribute to the national agenda. In that way, the program educational outcomes is very important. This plays an important pivotal role in outcome-based curriculum. So this is like, long term. Sometimes they may not be able to attain, in within 3 years in their undergraduation course, but they have to attain. They must be informed. They are all called informed decisions. Programmed educational object outcomes are informed decisions. Provide informed decisions to the students so that they have to acquire in order to win the confidence of the system. Number one, competitiveness. For example, they must have global competition. They can do undergraduation in engineering or medicine in India, but they must have global competence. If they don't have global competence, sometimes they may not be able to be recognized by other countries, and he or she may not be able to serve in other countries. Therefore, the competitiveness is very important while designing. So, program educational outcome, the competition, whether the curriculum which is designed is able to provide, I am going to give you examples also, provide competitiveness to the students. Next, adaptability, whether the graduate will be able to exhibit success in solving complex technical problem in a broad range of discipline subject to quality process. That's very important. After completion of the course, whether you would be able to solve a open problem, or whether now the open problem is finding vaccine for coronavirus. In that way, we have number of open problems which remain unsolved. Therefore, that kind of adaptability is very important. And the third one, teamwork and leadership. Whether your student would be able to work in a team, whether your students are able to have leadership qualities in terms of their knowledge. I can give you some example in physics, maybe. You see, in physics, program educational outcomes for BSc physics. Maybe one or two things I can just read out. You have to help the students develop ability to communicate knowledge of physics effectively. Whether they would be able to communicate the knowledge of physics effectively with the requirements, whether he would be able to communicate the knowledge of physics in different area of domains, whether you can prepare students successfully apply the fundamentals of physics to the formulation and solution of emerging technical problems as contributing members of the. I am just giving these ideas are only indicative, they are not exhaustive. Perhaps you can even incorporate more number of ideas like this. And you see, next I would like to give insights on program outcomes, because for the outcome-based curriculum, you must know what is learning outcome, what is programmed educational outcomes, what is program outcomes. So the program outcomes means what? These are the statements or outcomes which give clarity for students or the teachers after 3 years, after the completion of 3 years undergraduation, what are the knowledge, skills, character the students have to possess. That's very important. So in that way, now you have to have, you see, I am approving. That is the reason why I am not able to. Most of them are sharing. Okay, now you see, now program outcomes, you see, it describes what are expected to know. Are you able to see my PowerPoint?
Sir, no, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Yes, most of them are
Sir, now shouting.
sharing, that is the problem. Okay.
Yes.
Now you see, I think you are able to get the clarity about program
Now
outcomes.
we can see this.
Yeah, 3 years of completion of, yeah, 3 years completion of the your undergraduate programs. What are the knowledge, skills, and character with a special reference to the curriculum framework you would be able to acquire. Perhaps that is the reason why I call upon all the teachers to keep their mind and keep these ideas in their mind that you got to have the vocational pathway, professional pathway, and general pathway. These things are very important. See, based on these pathways, you develop a framework. So based on the framework, perhaps you have to have your program outcomes. Now, after BSc Physics, these are the 15 jobs my students would be able to get into. And these are the proficiency sets my students have to acquire. And these are the general content they have to learn. So this is how the program outcomes are designed. So therefore, program outcomes, after the entire program is over, what are the skills with reference to the curriculum framework? What are the knowledge with reference to the framework? What are the character with reference to the framework the students have to acquire? This is very important. Likewise, the program outcomes have to be designed. Now you have designed programmed educational outcomes, learning outcomes, programmed educational outcomes in terms of competitiveness, adaptability, and teamwork and leadership, and program outcomes in terms of the with reference to the framework is important. And next, course outcomes. So before we enter into the course outcomes, I would like to throw some examples. For example, program outcomes, ability to acquire and apply fundamental principles of science and physics. So they have to have ability to apply the fundamental principles of physics in the familiar and unfamiliar context. So this is one program outcomes. This cannot be achieved subtly. It cannot be achieved all of a sudden. During the course of 3 years duration, we have to assess that the students have achieved or not. And capability to communicate effectively. So this cannot happen in the first semester. So this has to happen within the 3 years period of time of undergraduate course. So in that way, you have to spell out program outcomes. And next, likewise, I have the next important thing is course outcome. What do you mean by course? Course means the paper. Each course. For example, for physics, thermodynamics is the course. So the thermodynamics. After thermodynamics, okay, after learning thermodynamics, what are the knowledge, skills, and character they have to acquire? So based on these knowledge and character, so these are the reckoner. Now ready reckoner of the teachers. So now you have the ready reckoner. So based on the ready reckoner, now you assess them, you teach them, you assess them, you implement your ideas. So this is very important. So course outcomes in the sense, after completion of the course, what are all the knowledge, skills, and the character students have to exhibit. Friends, remember the course outcome must be connected to program outcomes. The programmed outcome must be connected to program educational outcomes. In that way, these outcomes will be connected to learning outcomes now. This is very, very important. So in that way, you have to connect course outcomes into program outcomes. You have to map. I am going to give you the mapping mechanism also. You have to map course outcomes into program outcomes into program educational outcomes. If you do it in terms of your teaching, learning, and assessment or evaluation, then students will be ready for future ready. Students will be job ready. So, and students will not be complacent, and students will not be entangled with any problem. So you have to contemplate these ideas, very important. You have to contemplate course outcomes into program outcomes into program educational outcomes, and that will, through them, we are going to assess the learning outcomes of the students. This is very, very important. Therefore, by experience, you develop outcome based, you design or redesign outcome based curriculum. This is very important. Now, I would like to give you, see, once again, I think I have to stop sharing because somebody is. I think because of the participants, the participants cooperate, then it is easy for me. Otherwise, I find it very difficult. Okay. Yeah. Now you see, the transparency in teaching learning is feasible in outcome-based education, the outcome-based curriculum or education, whatever you call. So how it is possible? I think you know the Bloom's taxonomy, and I am going to link Bloom's taxonomy with the metacognition. You see the taxonomy of reflection. When you remember, you understand what did I do, or how should I remember? What do I remember? Or how I remember? What did I remember, or what do I remember? Understanding what was important about it to accomplish the task, to accomplish the course successfully, pass the paper successfully, and to apply, where could I use this again? If I come across similar task, how can I apply the knowledge of thermodynamics in anywhere in physics? I think you are able to get me. And you would be able to analyze, do I see any patterns in what I did? So if I see any framework or a model, what I did, so that I can use it in the similar task. And you also evaluate how well did I do. So you evaluate yourself. Now I am able to use the knowledge of thermodynamics in physics or quantum mechanics or chemistry, physical chemistry. Very good. Now I am able to use the context in the different area of specialization. This is how I evaluate myself. And then I create, what should I do next? Now I have to create a new knowledge now. So this is how the curriculum, outcome-based curriculum has to be designed so that the learning outcomes will be nicely evaluated and you can make your students realize the learning outcomes, what they have got, and it provides a lot of quantum of confidence to them. If they are confident, definitely, if they are interviewed, they will be successful. So this is very important, okay, for outcome-based curriculum. So I would like to now provide a redesigning curriculum framework in the sense, you see, outcome-based curriculum. Now, perhaps you know, as you know pretty well that name of the program or course must be mentioned, and you have to spell out program educational outcomes, program outcomes, and course outcomes in terms of the curriculum framework. That's very, very important. In terms of curriculum framework, in the sense, in terms of knowledge, skills, and character, which are required to attempt 15 jobs or 15 professions, for example. So you have to spell out your program educational outcomes, program outcomes, course outcomes in terms of the requirement through knowledge, skills, and character. That's very important. And metacognition, in fact. So likewise, you write instructional objectives so that your instructional objectives will help students to achieve learning outcomes. And you see, I would like to provide the content details of each unit and how the content of each unit is going to be transacted in terms of practical, in terms of theory, in terms of internship, in terms of field trip. So likewise, you have to spell out everything in the curriculum. That will provide clarity to the students. And then what kind of instructional methods, techniques, strategies for each unit, okay, for delivering each unit. This is very important. So your curriculum design have to accommodate instructional methods also and appropriate techniques for evaluation mechanisms, books, journals, learning resources, e-resources. Other top resources is expert human resources. That is also very important. So who is the national expert in thermodynamics? Who is the international expert in thermodynamics? Something like that. So this is very important. And as I told you, friends, you got to map now each course outcome into program outcomes into program educational outcomes. And if you are able to map your course outcome into program outcome and program outcome into program educational outcome or program specific outcomes, now students will have a lot of clarity. Students will be able to develop confidence. And now you see, when they learn, they would be able to acquire knowledge, apply the skills. They have got skills to apply their knowledge or represent the knowledge, and they develop character in terms of leadership, in terms of resilience, in terms of agility, in terms of teamwork, in terms of mindfulness, so that they love the curriculum. Now curriculum has given a lot of clarity for them, and now they build up their confidence and they are able to address the job providers, or they would be able to address the system, or they can become even entrepreneurs also. So these are the ideas which I wanted to share with you. Thank you for your patience. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I am able to hear you.
Okay, sir. Myself, Prabha Shaktivel, sir. I am doing PhD in Periyar University, sir. The title is Outcome-Based Education, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I am having one doubt. I took my title for 11th standard level. In
Pardon? In mathematics.
I took my title based on the outcome-based education for higher secondary level.
Okay.
For mathematics subject.
Okay. So what do you want me to help
Possible,
you?
sir.
Is it possible?
In the curriculum for the higher secondary level students for mathematics.
Yeah. See, outcome-based curriculum is useful not only for higher education, but also school education also. So that is what, if you go through NEP, 2020, you will understand. See, the same way now you see after higher secondary, they would again go for tertiary or professional courses. Am I correct or not? After higher secondary, either they can pursue tertiary education or professional education or vocational education. Even vocational education, they can go to polytechnic or diploma in teacher training, something like that. So based on their professional choices, after +2, suppose a +2 group student, +2 mathematics group students, they can go to BSc mathematics or BSc physics, or see, you find out the academic choices and then professional choices. Even after +2, they can go for job also. They can go for vocational courses, polytechnic. So likewise, you identify their vocational choices.
Okay. Okay.
Then you establish, proficiency sets in mathematics. For example, for mathematics, the problem solving skills,
Yeah.
and then the problem solving skills is very important. Problem based
Sir.
learning is very important.
Yes.
Linking an idea in mathematics with different ideas is very important. Likewise,
Methodology
you
also we can.
identify the proficiency sets,
Okay.
and then you design the curriculum. It will be outcome based curriculum.
But we want to see all the courses that they are going to take. For
Yeah.
TCS, sir, we have to, while framing the curriculum, we have to take all those courses. What they are going to take.
This is possible. I can even throw extra light for you. Pointing out STEM education. I think you might have heard about STEM education. That is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. STEM education, even STEM education can be incorporated even at primary level. In some of the countries are experimenting. Country like Australia is experimenting STEM education at primary level. So they have developed outcome-based curriculum at primary level, incorporating STEM education, science, mathematics, even engineering and technology. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So therefore, if STEM education at primary level is possible, you can definitely develop outcome-based education at higher secondary level in mathematics or the entire higher secondary course.
Okay, sir. Because still, I think no took for higher secondary level, so that only I took for higher secondary level.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Very nice presentation, sir.
Anybody? Any other doubt? Any other question?
Hello.
Yeah. Yes.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. I'm Kalpana from NKT College of Education.
Okay.
Can you able to hear me, sir?
I am able to hear you.
Yes, sir. Are the curriculum development and curriculum construction are the same terms? Can you please explain, sir?
Yeah.
Or curriculum construction is a part of curriculum development. Please clarify, sir.
Okay, certainly. See, curriculum design and development. That's a good question, perhaps. What is the difference between design and development? So, in the design part, perhaps you would have not evaluated the impact of the curriculum. You have only designed the curriculum. For example, National Education Policy has provided as curriculum design. It is not curriculum development because it has only given ideas to design the curriculum. Now, for developing curriculum, you have to evaluate. So the curriculum design has to be evaluated for redesigning the process. Suppose you prepare a curriculum for Polytechnic, whether it really creates an impact or not. Now you have only designed the curriculum. For example, I can give you another example so that you would be able to understand. Now you have designed the curriculum for 4-year integrated program, B.Ed program, 4-year integrated B.Ed program. It is only a curriculum design because it has not been evaluated. So now you evaluate at each and every entry level, then you redesign it, then your design will become development. So therefore, there is a difference between curriculum design and development. Development involves evaluation. Each and every level of curriculum design must be evaluated. Am I correct or not? Now the curriculum is ready for implementing. This is curriculum development. For example, I can give you your pilot testing is design. After pilot testing the tool, it will become development. Am I correct or not? We understand? The tool design, your research tool design. Before pilot testing, it is design, tool design. After pilot testing, it is development of the tool. So development requires quantum of evaluation. Design is yet to require development. That's the difference between curriculum design and development.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your clarification, sir.
Okay. Any other question?
Excuse me.
Yes.
What is the difference between learning objectives and learning outcomes?
Very good. learning objectives and learning outcomes. You see, before you introduce the course, you frame objectives. For example, you frame general instructional objectives and specific instructional objectives. Am I correct or not? And they are not achieved. They are yet to be achieved. But in the learning, learning outcomes, you will check whether these learning outcomes, learning objectives are achieved or not. If they are not achieved, you have to redesign your objectives, learning objectives. Are you able to understand? So in the learning, after looking at the learning outcomes, the teacher would be able to understand or would be able to assess whether the learning objectives are achieved or not. Suppose a particular objective is not achieved, that would be reflected on learning outcomes. So the learning outcomes will help the teacher to redesign the objectives because it is yet to be achieved. For example, you have 8 objectives. Now 6 objectives have been achieved. And now the learning outcome will tell you the 2 objectives are not achieved because these are the reasons. Am I correct or not? So they have achieved, learning outcomes, the objectives are objective will be more focusing on the subject context. Suppose if you are a teacher of mathematics, now objectives will focus only on the context of your subject. But outcomes will concentrate on knowledge, skills, and character, which will address in turn, the curriculum framework. That is the difference between learning outcomes, learning objectives, and learning outcomes. Are you able to understand that, Matt?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
If you are not able to understand, I can give you another example.
Sir, if you can give more examples, that would be.
Yeah. See, suppose what subject are you teaching? What's your subject in MSc level or postgraduate level?
I am a research scholar, so I have done MSc in physics and master in education.
Okay. Now you have done your physics. Okay, for example, you see learning objectives for a particular course. Am I correct? A particular course or particular lesson. For particular lessons, let us take light. You are teaching light as the subject. Am I correct? A particular knowledge you have to transact. Light, the knowledge you have to transact to your students. So for teaching light, I think you have certain objectives. Perhaps you want your students to understand how the light travels in the opaque medium. So these are the objectives, learning objectives of the student. So they have to acquire the knowledge of light in the other medium and opaque medium. For example, I'm just giving you an example. These are instructional objectives. But learning outcomes, you see, for 1 hour class, the learning outcome, whether the student would be able to differentiate. Differentiate means what? They have the skill of differentiating the light, transmitting through medium and opaque medium, ordinary medium and opaque medium. So this skill is called learning outcome. So the learning outcome, I must be able to differentiate. This is learning outcome now. If I am able to differentiate light passing through any other medium and opaque medium, now what happened? I develop a skill which is useful for the employability. For the employability, this is very important for me. So this is learning outcome. So learning outcome means the knowledge, skills, and character which will address the curriculum framework. I mean the vocational pathway or the professional pathway. Whether the skill set which I acquire would be able to address the proficiency set which is required to perform the job. That is learning outcome. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Another thing, if I am asked to work, in a team to analyze the velocity of light. Velocity of light is 3 × 10⁸ meter per second. Suppose to analyze the velocity of light to get the veracity of information, whether I would be able to work in a team of my of my classmates. This is learning outcome. Learning outcome means what? You see, now I have the ability to work in a team. That is learning outcome. It is not learning objective. Learning objective means only with reference to your subject. But learning outcome with reference to the curriculum framework. Are you able to understand?
Yes.
For each lesson plan, I think it's a good question. For each lesson plan you write, you spell out the learning objectives and learning outcomes. For each course, so suppose you develop, learning outcomes and learning objectives for the course quantum mechanics, then prepare learning objectives and learning outcomes. That's very important. So course objectives, course outcomes. Any other question?
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes. Do you have any other questions, student participants?
Good evening.
Now, time is it.
Good evening. I'm Bhupati.
Bhupati, tell me, Bhupati.
Yes, sir. Sir, thanks for giving opportunity once again to meet you, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, we are engaging with education video shooting, sir. Meanwhile, I engage with you, sir. Every learning outcome should have learning objectives.
You see, friends, learning outcomes, we spell out learning outcomes to prepare ourselves for future ready. That's very important. See, learning outcomes will help us to be future ready. Learning objectives will help us to learn the subject. That's the difference. So I have to be future ready. I have to be industry ready. I have to be industry 4.0 revolution ready. So I have to be industry ready, future ready. Then learning outcomes are very important. But learning objectives are directions to achieve learning outcomes. Are you able to understand? Learning objectives are the directions to achieve learning outcomes. Without learning objectives, you cannot achieve learning outcomes. Subject knowledge is very important, and that would help me to develop ability for me to be future ready or industry ready. So therefore, learning outcomes. So how do you get learning outcomes? Not only from learning objectives, from course outcomes, program outcomes, program educational outcomes, I would be able to have my learning outcomes. Because I have to be ready. I have to acquire knowledge, skills, and character to cater to the needs of the industry, cater the needs of institution or organization. Therefore, everything is mapped. So that is the reason I ask you to map, from course outcomes to program outcome, program educational outcome, and in turn, you would be able to assess the learning outcome. For example, a simple example I'll give you. You teach me B.Ed program, how to teach. Am I correct or not? How to teach.
Okay.
So you provide me a lot of methods, techniques, strategies to present my thoughts onto the audience. So I have to exhibit the skill. If I am able to exhibit the skill, now I am presenting unto you, presenting some concept unto you, and I am able to make you understand. So now I have acquired presentation skills. I have ability to present knowledge across the audience. This is one learning outcome. This is learning outcome, but it is not learning objective. It is learning outcome because I have already exhibited my knowledge. So I have the ability to exhibit my knowledge. So this ability, assessing this ability is the process of learning outcome at B.Ed level. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
Shall we conclude the session, sir?
certainly.
Amuda ma'am, are you here? Amuda ma'am?
You can conclude. You can conclude. He says yes.
Amuda ma'am?
Yeah, you can conclude, madam.
Okay, okay. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am?
Yeah, you can conclude, madam. Dr. Rajesh sir, you can conclude.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, sir. Your presentation is very nice, please. Ma'am? Sorry. May I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible. You are audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Your presentation is very nicely, sir, and the examples were simple and practical to use, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Saying thank you is more than good manners. It is good spread. First, I would like to thank Vice Chancellor of Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University for giving permission to organize the 5-day International Virtual Faculty Development Program and deliver the excellent presidential address. Thank you, sir. Next, in turn, I wholeheartedly extend my gratitude to the respected Vice Chancellor of Bharathidasan University and Registrar of Bharathidasan University, their constant support and blessings. Thank you, sirs. With great joy, I would like to express my thanks to Registrar in charge and Program Convener of this program to deliver the welcome address. Thank you, sir. Next, I would great thank to Dean and Controller of Examinations and Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University and Professor and Head Department of Educational Technology Bharathidasan University for their constant support. Thank you, sir. Next, I render my sincere thanks to our resource person, Professor Dr. E. Ramganesh, sir, Director IECD Bharathidasan University for excellent presentation on the topic of prospects of outcome-based learning curriculum. Thank you, sir. Your session is highly informative, sir. It is very useful for upcoming educators. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Next, in turn, thank our beloved friend, Dr. Amuta ma'am, Organizing Secretary of this program. Thank you, ma'am. Finally, I thank the pillar of this program, all the participants who are present across the country. Thank you all. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, one and all.